Hi everyone, thank you for joining today's webinar. In collaboration with our corporate partner, CYFIRMA, AiSP will be organizing a series of webinars to share insights. We will now hand over the time to CYFIRMA researcher to kickstart this session. Due to the nature of his role, it is not convenient for him to divulge his identity.
Hi, thank you for joining everyone and welcome to another session that we're having to discuss about another threat actor group from Europe. In this case, this threat actor group is known as FusionCore, and let me share by presenting what I have. So basically, FusionCore is a group of young malware developers who've been in the business for since a couple of years now, and it has been founded by Hydra. He's the co-developer of the Typhon Reborn Stealer, and they've been in the Stealer logs and the Stealer development business for quite a while now. And he's been recently joined about a year ago with another malware developer known as Necrosis. Now, these two guys were involved in the No Mercy Info Stealer, which was found to be really primitive by a few of the researchers because of its lack of ability to evade detection. So in that case, Necrosis came in and pitched in with evasion capabilities. Now, let us see how FusionCore evolved since September 22 till the previous month. FusionCore started its operations in September 2022, and in just a month, they announced the release of a ransomware written in C++, which is known as Serene Locker. We had published a report on Serene Locker, and I'll come to that later, and I'll show you what these guys told the world about what they thought about our report. And followed by that, they launched their Surface Web Shop, which contained all of the services that they were providing along with all of the products that they had in their offerings. Furthermore, they were hiring for experienced malware developers who are experts in post-exploitation phases and could design malwares and crypters for them. Crypter is basically another software which will sit on top of your existing malware, which will obfuscate and heavily give it anti-evasion capability, so that when it's being analyzed, it does not run, and due to the nature of it, it cannot be reverse engineered easily. Of course, everything can be reverse engineered if given the right amount of time. Then we started looking at FusionCore, who's recently announced that Serene Locker has been put on hold, and a new ransomware known as Karukia ransomware is going to be released pretty soon. Right now, we saw that these guys were really intrigued by our report, and they were not happy that we said that it was not that sophisticated, because Serene Locker had certain techniques that were being used by widely multiple ransomware. So it could have been easily detected in case you had heuristic detection in place. But in this case, since we called it out as not so sophisticated, they had written that they're going to release a new project that is going to be written in C# and it's been quite a while since they've been working on this project, and they have to announce that. And you can see that Serene Locker, they announced that it has been abandoned, and since Karukia ransomware is on the way. So what is Karukia ransomware? So they released a channel and everything and gave all the features of Karukia ransomware. Now, if you see, AES and RSA are being used. AES for file encryption and RSA for the encryption keys, further encryption. Now, this ransomware has the ability to wipe the key from the memory, which means it will be really difficult for getting the decryption key from the device's memory upon memory forensics. Automatic privilege escalation, this is simply for escalating privileges to admin to do the things that the ransomware needs to do. For example, deleting volume shadow copies to inhibit recovery. and deleting event logs for, anti-analysis after, the event has happened. You're trying to understand what kind of things has been done. You're trying to understand the damage that has been done, and you don't have any logs. So that's the situation they want to introduce here. They want to disable sample submission for example, Defender detects it, and they don't want the sample to automatically be sent to Defender so that they can analyze and create further detection patterns for that. So all of these capabilities is a bold claim to make, and there's a lot to do if you can see that the builder in itself is pending. So the builder will provide the affiliate with all the necessary uh, features that you would need inside a ransomware. For instance, I need to build a ransomware that infects a single machine, so there's a different piece of code for that. But if I want a ransomware to be moving laterally across the whole network, there's a different code for that. So all the hashes keep on changing based on what you're trying to build from the builder as a ransomware. And only heuristic based detections and being proactive can help you detect these kind of threats. This is the panel of the Karukia ransomware. As we can see, this is the same UI that they've been using for their Stealer, their Rat. Every malware that they have is having the same UI, just that they're changing the look and feel in terms of the colors. Also, there is an OPSEC failure here. You can see the IP address of one of their bots. So these threat actors have access to a private botnet, and they're not willing to disclose it publicly, of course, for obvious reasons. But using that private botnet, they provide malware spreading as a service. So if in case you're a threat actor and you want to spread your malware in a specific region, the threat actors provide you with that service as well, and that's absurd because they charge a little more for Europe, which is where they're operating from. So yeah, that's we're keeping an eye on those kind of activities from FusionCore. Looking at the diamond model tells us exactly how they operate. They provide phishing pays as a service, they provide malware as a service, and they do have an affiliate program that they do not accept currently, but our sources have told us that they do have an affiliate program. And the capabilities that they have, initially they used to use phishing page generators to target the municipality of Sweden previously, and they after Necrosis joined their team, they had a really great improvement in the defense evasion capabilities and data exfiltration capabilities because of the expertise Necrosis brought in. Necrosis, by the way, is the developer of Serene Locker ransomware, and who is now developing the Karukia ransomware. They use a bulletproof hosting in terms of the infrastructure, and they use authentication services for malware admin panels. For instance, they would have their darknet panel, and they would ask them to whitelist from which user you're going to log into that particular VPS. They also use open source tools like OfficeCar and NetShield, ConfuserX, NBMiner, and XMRig. Now, OfficeCar and NetShield and ConfuserX, these three are obfuscation tools, open source obfuscation tools for their malware to evade detection. Now, NBMiner and XMRig are cryptocurrency mining tools, which they embed within their malware for mining purposes. And the target depends on the buyer or affiliate of the software. The malicious softwares are sold for a very cheap price, and it makes sense because it's not so sophisticated, but it might turn out to be sophisticated because of the features that has been advertised in the Karukia ransomware. This is the web shop that has been introduced by FusionCore, which is currently down, but we have been able to get the snippets before it went down, and probably they're working on turning up a new web shop in the recent future. What kind of services are they selling on this web shop? So there's of course the Typhon Reborn, the flagship stealer. They have Apollo Rat. It's a remote access Trojan for Windows. The RAS starter pack with guide. So this is a very cheap offering that they have, and it's basically for beginners who don't know how to start ransomware group. It comes with a guide, but it's not a very sophisticated piece of malware. It doesn't spread within the network. At least that's what they've advertised right here. Uh, the phishing page as a service, this is something that we have seen in action across the municipality of Sweden, as well as another IT firm in Southeast Asia. Um, the NeuroCryptras, this is a sophisticated piece of ransomware that is only being sold to premium RAS customers that they have. So other threat actors do join them as affiliates, and when they started, even when they started posting about the hiring parts, people were asking that would you like to collaborate? So we have seen traction that these guys have gained traction to a lot of threat actors that exist in the underground forums. They do have DDoS services as well, which targets layer 4 and layer 7, which we have seen a lot lately. Even Telegram bots are being able to do that. And we have seen every malware of FusionCore use Telegram as the C2. Be it Apollo Rat, be it Typhon Reborn Stealer, be it Serene Locker, all of these do not require the buyer to host it on their infrastructure because it uses Telegram as the C2. They just have to figure out a spreading technique, infect the victim, and they'll have the information via Telegram. So let's discuss about the ETLM insights that we've learned from what we've discussed about FusionCore till now. So members of FusionCore are definitely young. Some of them are in the school, some of them are in college, but every one of them has been into this business for about 2 to 3 years. I mean, we've seen 16-year-old hackers take down MNCs with social engineering attacks. So the average age of hackers that we've seen is definitely coming down significantly. And in this case, we can see the same happening. FusionCore is running a malware as a service model along with Hacker for Hire, and we've discussed the open source tools that we are using, that they're using in their toolkit. So with the more malware developers and post-exploitation experts that are joining their team, they're planning to expand their RAS model along with getting more sophisticated malware into their arsenal. We have seen discussions around building another crypto miner, another crypter. So they would be selling crypting services to other threat actors to obfuscate their malware so that it has no detections on any antivirus. They are not working on EDR evasion capabilities a lot at the moment. They are currently working on malware evasion capabilities from the antivirus perspective because the targets would be not so sophisticated. They are more into spreading their malware to the most extent possible, encrypt those files and ask a ransom in return. The targets of FusionCore again would depend on who's buying their malware because they do not actively carry out attacks. They're just malware developers who would attack if they have an agenda. The use of crypters, of course, suggests a sophisticated approach. Now, we've seen in one of their posts that they used a lockbit sample, which was being detected by almost every antivirus vendor out there. And they used the crypter stub on that lockbit sample. And that lockbit sample suddenly has 0 detections. And it's the same executable, just crypted through the stub. So all of this shows that once, because malware as a service has significantly brought down the cost for anyone who's trying to attack an infrastructure without having the prior knowledge of attacking large entities or even small entities for that matter. The developing catalog suggests that they're really ramping up their malware development and RAS capabilities. And at this time, we can definitely say that in the future, they're going to come up with a different set of ransomware that we have seen before. For example, Serene Locker 1.0 had been released. Serene Locker 2.0 was going to be released, and then it was abandoned due to our research, or maybe not, but it was abandoned for around the same time. And after that, they came out and said that uh, we're going to work on another malware. So they have a lot of time and they have a lot of energy. So they're going to come up with a new set of malware, and it's fair to assume we're going to have a lot more to see from FusionCore. That's it from my end.
Hi, thank you for sharing. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, if not, our next webinar will be on 21st June at 11 a.m. Do feel free to scan the QR code to register for the webinar. Thank you.